Okay, you guys, this palette should be launching later today, but I'm trying to get this video out just in time if you are at all curious to maybe check out this palette. But the newest palette from Simply Posh Cosmetics is going to be launching later today, and it's called the Berry Eyes palette. The cover of this is very fun with the berry themed, and when I saw it, I was definitely curious to see what the color story was going to be, and the color story ended up being this palette, which I feel like is very different than I anticipated. I really thought they would just go like really hard with the purples and blues, but they didn't. They gave us some different hues of browns. They gave us some different hues of like mauves and purples, not just the bright purples that I thought they would go with. And you also got to the blues and even a little bit of green down here with these pastel greens. I was so intrigued. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys 3 looks per usual. The first 2 are just going to be music overlay. You guys can see me apply it. And then the third look, I'll walk it through and give you guys my review of the palette. And also towards the end of the video, we're going to talk about if any of these shimmer shadows are repeats from their previous palettes, because it's definitely something I noticed as I've been playing with it. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, let's just go ahead and dive right into the looks and we'll get into the review. Alright, so you guys ready for the third and final look for this video? There are just so many options. I don't know which one I want to go with, but I think I'm going to stick to a blue. I can't decide if I want to do brown or coral when it comes to the combo with it, but I think I'm going to stick to blue on the outside. That way I can use one of these blues in my inner half. That'll be really pretty. And then, inner half, and then I can have blue on the outer half to go with it. And then what do I want to pop for the inner corner? I feel like I should try brown because blue and brown I don't put together too often, but that could be really pretty. And maybe I could even pop this on the outer corner, this juicy shade. I forget if it's a multi-chrome or not. It's got a shift to it, but it's got green gold to pink, I think. Very, very pretty, but that would be pretty right on the lid. And then the light blue, maybe icy or berry on the inner half of it. So that's what I'm kind of leaning towards, and I'm just kind of trying to decide if I want to actually go that route. Let's go ahead and do it. First up, I want to see how dark the darkest blue looks on the eyes. So I'm just going right in with blueberry. I use the, what is it, Ace Beauté eyeshadow primer before sitting down here, so it's had about a minute or so to dry. A little bit longer than typical, so it's a little less tacky than normal, but wow, that's beautiful. Very pretty. Shows up a little bit brighter, I would say, than what it looks like in the pan, because in the pan, maybe it's not coming up on camera, but in person I feel like the shade looks a little bit deeper than what I see on my eyes. But still pretty, just pointing it out. Okay, so you do need to tap off these brushes. I tapped it off and it just got a tiny bit of fallout. I forgot to tap off and I got a good bit of fallout, which I have a feeling I'm not gonna be able to dust away as easily as this side. So this side, dust away pretty nice. There's one spot. It looks like it's kind of sticking right there. Let's see what this side does. Ooh, yeah, it's starting to smear. Okay, so the next up, I got that brush. What's this? The E27. You would think I would have it memorized at this point just with how much I love it, but let's go in with Tarte, a little bit of that purple. Just a teeny bit. I want to put it right at the base. I don't want to overtake this color, but I want to put it right here just to see what that does, if it can kind of deepen it up. I almost took the brown, but the dark brown, but I don't know. I want to see if I can add a little bit of depth. Just using this color and a little bit of another shade. I don't want to change this to not be like a nice bright blue, but I wouldn't mind if it had a little bit of a purple hue to the blue, I guess you could say. And also go deeper, as I said. I love combining colors to see if I can get it a little bit deeper. So let me go in one more time, tap it around like that with the purple. What shade was this? Tarte, and I'm gonna go back into blueberry and just kind of mesh it, kind of sandwich it in there. Here is with that purple mixed in, here is with nothing. I definitely think it showed a difference, and both of them, like blending, usually I feel like sometimes it can be a little hit or miss with formulas if you kind of sandwich them, where you put down one, then put down another, then put down another. Sometimes they don't want to mix. I find it easiest just to like blend them on the brush and then blend on your eye at the same time, but I think that's a beautiful blend. I am very, very happy with how that looks. So at this point, let me clean off this brush. I'm just gonna use the same brush. I finally washed my brushes last night, and anytime I do that, I'm like, okay, now I can't get these dirty again. But let's go ahead and go in with, ooh, frosted, or let's go in with this shade. It's a little bit darker, pulp. I thought it said puppy for a second. And I am going to just put this right on top, right here, and knock it off like this, just to start to bring it up. And I'll probably still have one more shade, because there's a couple lighter tones, one more shade on top of here, so I'm not going to take this too terribly high. But I think it's interesting how they kind of have, not all of them, it kind of goes light to dark this way, as opposed to with their previous palettes, I feel like it was all light on top, all dark below. It's a little bit of a different feel, a different layout, I guess you could say, to this palette. But I always like the amount of like light and dark shades that they put. I always feel like it's a very nice complementary array of colors to make really pretty seamless looks. Okay, the next I'm going to take this B1 brush from Blend Bunny. Let's go ahead and go into Wild Berry. I was going to do brown. I feel like blue and berry, it's a pretty combo. I feel like this is a really fun take on a blueberry theme palette or a berry theme palette. When they were sneaking it, I was like, okay, what could it be? And you know, of course, everyone's giving their guesses and looking at the palette. It's like, okay, blueberry is going to be like purple, blues, and pinks. And I guess in a sense it is, but the hues are so much more different than I anticipated. And I really like that about it. Like, they didn't take the kind of typical approach, or even the mainstream approach of like doing a bunch of browns and then throwing in one purple and one blue. But they even didn't do the typical approach. Like, I was expecting a lot more intense, vibrant colors. This Wild Berry actually is a lot more strawberry pink than berry, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think. It's looking a little red, white, and blue in here. I think that like the hues they chose were just a little bit more unique than you would anticipate, and I love that in a brand that can give you something fun and different and not be too predictable when it comes to their color stories. I'm just taking a little bit of that blue, blueberry, the darkest blue that I used. I'm gonna run it into here like this, and then I am gonna go ahead and use that brown because this, like I said, it's looking very pink. I don't think I want blue and pink. I want more of a berry tone, so I'm gonna take an even skinnier brush than what I just used. Super skinny. This is the G1012 by Gimme Glow. Gonna pick up cranberry, which is the brown, but with a name like cranberry, I wonder if it's more of a red when you actually use it. So let's see, and I'm just gonna put this in here to deepen it up. Honestly, I might just have to go in. You know what? Let me just do that. I don't know why I reached for a small brush. I'm gonna go in with the same brush that I did the wild berry because I don't really want to do an ombre. I want to combine the two to give a little bit of depth, so it's not so pink. But that is a pretty pink if you're wanting that type of shade, but I don't want my look to be very, like I said, red, white, and blue. I'm not going for a patriotic look, so I'm just gonna put that right on top. And yeah, that kind of mellowed it out. Oop, I just dotted it up high. But anyway, that mellowed it out. I'm gonna take a nice fluffy brush. Nothing too large, that's too large. So let's go with Blend Buddy B5 and let's pick up, what should we pick up? Let's do Ripe, this softer pink up top. Still deep, so I'm gonna pick it up very carefully. And we're just gonna put this right on top to buff it out, hopefully get rid of that place I messed up, but also just soften it out, make sure it's not too dark up in here in my inner crease. All the mattes, I mean, they're blending so nicely. I wasn't really anticipating having any issues, but I always like to keep in mind that brands can try different formulas, they can change things up. So just because I've had like so much love for the previous palettes doesn't necessarily mean I'm gonna like absolutely find the same case with a new palette. But I mean, so far with the looks that I've done, as predictable as their other palettes, I got a really solid matte formula going that I really do like. I find it very easy to like build up, very easy to work together, very easy to get those ombre looks with the different colors because they give you so many options of those, you know, that shade. So many different hues of that shade, I guess I should say. I just find it a really nice formula. So now, let's see, what did I use? I think I used Pulp, or yeah, Pulpy, never mind, it's Pulpy. Let's go ahead and use Fresh, which is probably the lightest matte blue that I see in this palette. And I'm just gonna tap this over and hit this very outer edge. I feel like with her really light shades, it can get a little bit like dusty to the point of asking yourself like, is there anything there? But I feel like I typically find that to be the case when I use brushes that are like this, like a big fluffy brush. And when I use more dense brushes, and even denser blending brushes, I don't find that to be the case. So I just think that their lighter colors just do better with more packing motions and then blending out, as opposed to just very loose, soft diffusion of colors. At least if you want very obvious color. If you want like a very light dusting of color, then I suppose a nice big brush like this would be great. But if maybe you are someone who typically uses these type of blending brushes and feel like the colors aren't really showing up, maybe that's it. Maybe that's something to consider of like, what brushes are you using and would it work better with a more dense brush? And maybe that's a con for you. I tend to prefer really dense brushes over big fluffy brushes just because I can get more, I feel like the dense brushes I get more control over, so it's not a bother to me. But definitely something I want to point out for you if you're trying to decide if this is a formula you would like. It's something I've noticed. All right, moving right along. I think I'm gonna do some purple down here, so I'm gonna take Tarte on my lower lash line. I feel like it's looking, it's looking really, still too patriotic for me. We'll see if I can make it stand out a little bit or just come away from the patrioticness. I want it to be berries is what I'm going for. You know, the berries, the theme of the palette. But I'm gonna see if adding a little purple underneath, and maybe I'll do green up top. Some of those minty colors just to kind of help pull it away from that feel. Oh, I forgot to turn my baby monitor down. When I'm filming, I usually mute it, and then when I'm catching the other eye up, I'll turn it up so I can hear. I'm gonna go into Fruity and put it right in here. So anyway, I always turn it up when I'm doing my opposite eye or catching up off camera, and I forgot. And everyone has a sound machine in their room or music playing, one of the two or both for my boys. But I know I can hear it if I let it play. I feel like the mic picks it up a little bit because it's right underneath the mic, and I don't want you to have to listen to the sound machine. That's pretty. That's really pretty. I think we can go back over a little bit with tart. I guess I could also take cranberry, but I'll just keep it tart. We'll see if I can keep it just purple down here. And I think I'll use a dark purple in my waterline. That'll be really pretty as well to really make it stand out. But that is very pretty. Okay, so moment has come to figure out what I'm doing on my eyes because I don't know what to do. I really like the way this is going. I feel like it looks really pretty. I'm putting a little little NYX glitter primer. I'm so close to being done with this tube and I already have a backup. And it's just a really solid product. But now, I don't know what to pick. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna keep Berry Ice for my inner corner. I'm gonna put Icy on my inner corner, Berry Ice all over my lid, and either this shade or this shade on the outer half. That is what I have decided to do because I gotta make some decision and I don't want to make any decisions, so we're just gonna go with it. Okay, so I did it over here and it has a very strong purple shift that makes it deeper than I was anticipating. But I am happy to see that the formula reminds me more so of the formula in Genuine Gems and that it's easy to apply with a brush. Because I remember with the Fairy Tale Fairies, I really did struggle to pick it up with a brush. But this, I mean, that's a nice application, but it definitely is a lot more deep than I was anticipating. But I think it gives this eye look a different look than I was, planning on, but I still think it looks great. And it really does. I don't know if this is a multi-chrome. You guys know I'm terrible at them, but it's like blue at one aspect, like you guys saw in the pan, but with the curve of my eye, I see pink and purple. And almost like, not even pink, almost like this maroon, mauve, or no, berry tones I have up in my crease. I kind of see that in the look. I don't know if you guys will be able to see on camera because my camera, I just don't have lighting and stuff set up to catch multi-chromes like that when I'm doing my look. I'm going to make this a little bit more obvious, or like not obvious, but like a little bit more bigger area. Okay, I think I'm gonna not do juicy. I did it in a previous look, so that's okay. We don't have to do juicy. But this is also really pretty. This is bittersweet. This would be really pretty. But also, so is Frozen. Frozen is what I was thinking of going with. Frozen is just so intense. Like, the shiftiness of these shades I can't get over. This definitely is like a turquoise to purple, but there's something just so pretty about putting Frozen on the outer edge, so I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna put it here, and I don't want to take it too far over. And touching it, this one is not that it's harder to pick up, but like the pigment is kind of not wanting to pick up and transfer. I see sparkle and stuff transferring, but I feel like I have to put a little bit more pressure down to get the pigment to transfer. Oh, this is going to be such a shifty type of eye look with these two shimmers on my lid for sure, because both of these shift to a different color. And honestly, like I said, that first shade on the inner half, I feel like it's a multi-chrome. It's a couple colors. But oh my goodness, so beautiful. If you like intense sparkly shadows, but you also like multi-chromes, but you don't want to have to, like, I don't know, spend too much money getting a bunch of them. These palettes, the Simply Posh Cosmetics, this palette, I think it's around 40 something bucks. I forget, 47. Can't remember off the top of my head, but not cheap. I'm not saying it's cheap, but you get a lot of really good mattes and 6 gorgeous shimmers that all of them, maybe not as strong, they're not all super duper strong on the shift, but they all have a shiftiness to them, or a shifty aspect to them. Some of them more stronger than the others, some of them more pigmented than others, being a little bit more iridescent, but they're very pretty. So if you like these colors and you're wanting to try some shifty shadows, don't take my word that it's a multi-chrome. I just know that they have a shifty aspect to them. But if you want to try them and you like these colors, I definitely think this is a great palette to get. And wait for a sale, and then you can get this for cheaper than full price, and I feel like that's cheaper than buying some multi-chromes one at a time. These aren't like, I wouldn't call these, at least to my knowledge, like a black base type of shifty multi-chrome, so I think that's why they're a little bit softer and harder to see, but they're still really pretty, and definitely in person whether you use one or two together. Like, they're so sparkly and beautiful. They have such just a very elegant type of shift to them. I think it's very pretty. Let me just pop a little bit of that darkest blue. I always like to go back over the edges of wherever my shimmer stopped, just so I don't see that like hard stop of texture differences in the outer corners. Just a pet peeve of mine. But definitely with this, I mean, it's not horrible when it comes to the fallout. I say as I got blue streak right there. It's honestly not that horrible. I've definitely had worse where like when it happens, it literally just stained and I could not get it out. This, I'm just seeing like a little hint, and I feel like once I do this, you won't be able to see. And I honestly think the fallout, like the sparkle, has more like obvious on my face than any color. Maybe you guys will disagree on camera. You could see better from that angle, but okay, we're pretty much done. Let me just finish out with the inner corner. And what did I say? We're gonna do Icy, which is a very pretty shade, pretty all over the eye as well, but let's see what it looks like just as the inner corner. I feel like I was able to successfully create the eye look I want. Like, I don't really see that patriotic look that it was leaning when I first started. I was a little worried. Not that it would have been, like I said, not a bad thing, but I really wanted to go super just berry inspired. And I feel like this is such a good berry inspired look, at least in my opinion, from my vantage point. I feel like it definitely looks very berry and really kind of embodies this palette, because I was able to kind of do, I guess except for the green, I don't have a lot of green in this look except for what I'm popping on right now, but it's more of like a minty green anyway. But anyway, I really do like how this look turned out. Super pretty. I would never have considered myself a berry person, but with all these palettes coming out that have these kind of berry tones mixed with blue, I like berry mixed with blue. I feel like this type of palette is my type of berry palette, because I'm able to have those blues, a little bit of greens and some browns and whatnot to mix and match and have fun with it. So let me go ahead and finish out my look. I want to put some wing liner on and redo my mascara, clean up my hands, and then we can close out this video. All right, so finished out my look, put on some liner. That wasn't my best job at doing the liner, but here is my completed look. Very pretty, a lot darker and like more vampy than I was anticipating, with the lid color being a lot darker than what I feel like you see in the pan. It looks so bright and blue, but when you put it on, there is a serious dark purple shift that is lovely, but just was a little unexpected. But it really brought the whole look together. I think it looks very pretty. So of course I'll be sticking up close up so you guys really be able to see how everything blended together, how everything ended up looking. I am overall really happy with how everything blended and how everything looked. The sparkle, the sparkliness of these shadows are gorgeous. Just like I said, you have to kind of anticipate it going everywhere, or you take that extra step to seal it in, because the sparkle will move around throughout the day. But as far as like wear time, I never noticed the mattes wearing away or creasing. Hopefully this video can give you some information on this palette, see how it swatches, see how all the looks turn out, get some inspiration for these type of looks. And also wanted to touch on very quickly here at the end, let's go ahead and look at what is similar between the palettes, because like I said, I feel like that Berry Ice, this is the one in the Wishes palette I was thinking of, or in the Wishes, in the Fairy Tale Fairies palette, the Wishes shadow is what the Berry Ice reminded me of. But swatching them and using them both, they look similar, but I know that the Berry Ice, yeah, Berry Ice is going to be a lot deeper when you actually use it on your eyes, as opposed to the Fairy Tale Fairies stays a whole lot more light and bright. Even though from the side here they look identical, but straight on, and then when you create looks with them, there are a little bit of a difference, but still very, very similar. Oh yeah, and then that's the other one, Delish and Enchanted. And I hope you don't mind me doing it on my palm. I usually don't do eyeshadows on there, but because I want to show like the shiftiness of these shadows, I feel like it's best. But we're gonna take Delish from the Berries palette, and I want to compare it to Enchanted, which is right here. So this Delish and Enchanted in the Fairy Tale Fairies palette. Definitely a feel difference. Like I said, Fairy Tale Fairies palette, while they were very beautiful, they're kind of hard to pick up, even with your finger. Like, I just feel like they're very firmly pressed in there. So picking them up, let me make sure. This is from the Fairy Tale Fairies palette. This is from the, what do you call it, Berries palette. Definitely, it's more of a softer formula in their newer palettes, which I'm super happy to see. So let's see. This is the Fairy Tale Fairies palette, and then this is the Berries palette. I gotta look like this because at the side it's hard. So yeah, very subtle differences, and I definitely look at the shine on the new Berries palette, the new Berries shadow. A lot brighter, a lot prettier, a lot more blinding too. Ooh, so beautiful. Whereas the Fairy Tale Fairies palette is just very subtle, soft, like I said, very hard to pick up, but it has a more smoothness to the texture in the formula. So that's an improvement there for sure. And that's really the only like super close shadows that I can see here between the Fairy Tale Fairies shimmers and the new, what is it even called? Berry Ice. I keep just saying the Berries palette. Those are the only two that were super, super close. The green, I would say, is very different from what I see here, so I'm not gonna swatch any more of those. Let's go to the Genuine Gems. And with the Genuine Gems, yeah, not as close as I thought they would be. I think the only one that's kind of close is Frozen, and then this Brilliance down here, the darkest blue. But I can already tell they're gonna be different enough, but I'll swatch them just in case you're curious. Yeah, the Genuine Gems is blue straight on, but it has a shift to green. So it's not gonna be that similar. This, oh, I forgot to clean my hand. One moment. This is for the Genuine Gems palette. It's kind of like a greeny blue, and then this is the Berry Ice palette. Ooh, so dark, so beautiful. A lot more like a black base pigment to the Berry Ice palette, whereas this Genuine Gems is just a dark base. It doesn't really feel that black, but look how shifty and shiny they are. I love the shine that these eyeshadows have. But yeah, pretty different. Close-ish in just that they're, you know, very close. One is a lot more green leaning, a little bit softer with the color, whereas the Berry Ice is a lot more of a black base, I would call it, and has more of a true blue shifting to like more of a purple. Whereas the blue in quotations because it's not super blue, but that blue from the Genuine Gems is much more of a green shift for sure. So that's really all that I can see super similar when it comes to the shimmers. So that is going to do it for me for this video. I hope you guys found this video helpful, informative, and just fun to see the different type of looks that I was able to create, and hopefully I got this video out before it launched. And if I was able to make it happen, high five to future Katie or editing Katie for making it happen. But yeah, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Let me know if you plan to pick this palette up, or if you have any of their other palettes that I raved about so much in this past year, 2022. These were top favorites. But anyway, I'm just rambling here at the end. Thank you so much for watching, and if you don't follow me over on Instagram, definitely follow me over there. I like to ask you guys feedback. LadyKatie92, and with all that said, I'll see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye guys.